We talk a lot about how important it is to really think about what it is you want out of life and create a plan for the life that you want. So today you're going to get a sneak peek into be a fly on the wall, into the conversations that Joseph and I have been having about our own lives and what we want to happen over the next few years.
Hi, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Tasha with One Big Happy Life, and we help you find balance, build wealth, and live happy. Everything that you need to create the life that you want.
Sometimes you need to be making some decisions for what you're going to be doing in your life on down the road. So always have a 5-year plan, that kind of thing. Tasha and I are no different. We have lots and lots of plans, and we're currently trying to hash out what we're going to do in the next 5 years. We've got a lot of moving parts right now, and so we wanted you to see how we discuss like major life decisions and the kinds of things that we think about and how we structure figuring out what it is that we're going to do. And we don't actually know. So this is real life.
Well, people they ask so often. They're like, oh, it's so nice being on the same page with your partner. How did you do that? You guys are so lucky. And I'm like, well, we are lucky in that there are some things that we are absolutely on the same page about. But for the most part, we are two very different people with two very different approaches to life and finance. Joseph is extremely risk averse. I am extremely risk tolerant. Joseph likes for things to stay the same. I like a lot of change. Joseph likes cold places. I like warm places. And so you can see that we have a lot of differences between us that we're always trying to navigate to try to find a solution that we can both be happy with.
Yeah, I would say being on the same page doesn't mean that instantly you have the same tastes and preferences and your decisions are instantly made for you. You never have any conversations about it because you already know what's going to happen, but that you both want to end up in a place that the decision you made, you're both happy with. Mm-hmm. Being happy with the decision, that's being on the same page.
Yeah.
Even if there's give and take and figuring out, well, I hate this thing, I love this thing. It's like, don't expect that everything is going to be perfectly smooth, but the end result, if you're happy with that, that's being on the same page. And that we have a lot of being on the same page with various results. And that's why we're so different, but still work perfectly together.
Now, just to give you some backstory of how we have ended up here in this place where we find ourselves. So Joseph and I met in Texas. I got a huge promotion, and so we moved to Philadelphia. While we were in Philadelphia, Joseph's office was dismantled, and so his choice was to move or to never be able to be promoted ever again at the ripe old age of 27 or something?
Yeah,
or change jobs.
So it was reorganizing, and everything was lots of changes inside.
Yeah, so we chose to move, and we moved to the DC area because at the time, I guess still. At the time, we were definitely super struggling to conceive. We had Alexis. Alexis was my child from a previous relationship. And so we wanted to have a child, and we were struggling to conceive. And the DC area had medical insurance that covered IVF. So we're like, okay, we'll go to DC. Here's where we find ourselves. And in the midst of the move, transferring from Philadelphia to here, we got pregnant naturally. And that's how we had Reeves. But we also knew wherever we moved to, we would not move until Alexis graduated from high school. That was the commitment that we made, not to move again until she was done. And so if you've been following us, then you know that Alexis graduated from high school technically 2 years ago and at 16, but she started community college. So this year she turns 18. And she's already 18, and she's about to graduate with her associate's degree. And so she will be leaving the nest along with, the other 18-year-olds, except she's a rising junior instead of being a freshman in college.
And of course, Tasha is working full-time from home in the business, running One Big Happy Life. I still have a job outside, and I commute back and forth to DC, and it's a good job. So there's that.
The other student loans. Were you about to talk about that?
I still have student loans because I work in public service. I anticipate that my student loans will be forgiven sometime next year.
Yeah, at the end of next year.
Yeah,
So the countdown has begun, right? So Alexis is leaving this year. Joseph's student loans are going to be discharged next year. So the things that were keeping Joseph in the job that he is in and us in the place where we live, those things are loosening up. And so now we're free to fly away. And I'm ready to go. Like the engines are revving. I'm at the starting blocks. Like I'm mixing metaphors. I'm so excited to leave. And Joseph's like, I'm not trying to go anywhere.
Yeah. So we have a lot of things that, well, let's go through kind of what's working and not working. And I think as you're looking at your 5-year plan, figuring that out, you want to look at both things and try to get what is like a realistic look and like weighing the pros and cons. Okay. So what's not working for us right now?
No, let's start with what's working.
Oh,
let's start with what's working.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, so I said before, my job is good. And I feel like I'm fairly compensated and it's secure. So that's a good thing to have.
I too love the work that I do running our company, One Big Happy Life. I love being self-employed. It does create more uncertainty though. So even though it is something that is working, it's not as certain as the job that I did before as a banking and finance attorney, where I had this set pay. It was very lucrative. This is also lucrative, but it's not the same. And it can vary from month to month and year to year in a way that my previous job couldn't. So, but I love it. So I don't want to change that.
Okay, so let's do kid things. So Alexis is still in college and she's going to be going to college for the next 2 years, close to where we live now. Reeves is in preschool, but the preschool is working. So he's in a preschool that we like.
What else is working?
The neighborhood.
Yeah, we really like our neighborhood. So one thing that couple things are working really well about the house and the neighborhood. So one, the neighborhood is beautiful. It's walkable. It's family friendly. It's near, we can bike. It's near a lot of things, easy access to several international airports. So that's all really nice. I love the fact that our house backs up to trees and not somebody else's house. That's always a thing that I've always tried to do, even when I lived in apartments. So in Philadelphia, our apartment it was a street because it's a city, but had trees all in front of it. So it felt very wooded. It's a thing that I value.
Yeah, we also have more friends and have interacted with friends more here than anywhere else. It also is a fact that we've lived here in one place longer than anywhere else. And so I think you probably get more friends the longer you live somewhere because you get to know people better. So that might happen anywhere. But for right now, that is something that's working. That is important to us. We do like at least the option of going and hanging out with some adults once in a while.
And I like that our house has lots of space and lots of rooms in it that align with the life that we live and that we want to live. So, we have a place, for example, to shoot our YouTube videos that doesn't disrupt the rest of our lives. This is our dining room, which we don't use except we use it for this and Christmas. I have
to
my
show
own
up on
office.
your Zoom calls.
That's true. I have an office. That's always something that's been very important to me, regardless of whether we were living in a house or in an apartment. We also have our basement workout area, which we've never had before and is just incredible to just be able to go down there and work out whenever. It's something that I would love to keep as a part of our regular lives rather than having to go to the gym.
Okay, so obviously that list of pros is really long. And so it's not like we're saying our lives are really bad and we've got to fix this.
Our lives are great. It's just...
Yeah. So what we're looking at is, it's still important, but it's not like those drastic, we've got to make this to survive kind of decisions. This is just what we want our future life to look like. And so it could, as you're making these decisions and discussing things, it could be anywhere from, we've got to make a change because this is awful, to, well, this is good. Can it be even better? And I think we're somewhere, obviously on the can this be better side. And so the things that are not working to get all of that list of good, positive things, it is extremely costly to live where we do. And so we spend more than we wished on housing and the income taxes here.
Yeah.
And just cost of living in general, it is substantial. And so there's several things. So Reeves School is very, very expensive too. And so it's like the cost of all of those, hey, this is working, is very high.
Okay, something else that is not working is that I don't love our house. It was the best of the options that were available to us when we were house hunting, because remember, we moved here as part of a job transfer. So we didn't have forever to search for a house. And we also could not just move wherever because we had a kid that was going into 8th grade and we really wanted to keep her with the same people from 8th grade to and then all the way through high school. Like, we thought that was the best decision that we could make as parents. So that really limited us in geographic area to where we could choose to buy a house. We couldn't even rent because there were no rentals in this area. So we had to just pick from like 3 houses that were available in our price point, and this was the one that we picked. And so it's a good house, but I don't love it. Like, I prefer a house that's brighter. We both lament over our master bath because we both want a bigger master bath that's spacious. We want a bigger shower area because if you've watched our nighttime routines, you know that Joseph and I enjoy showering together at night, and it's really hard with a standard tub. And I like to take soaking jacuzzi tub baths, and I can't in these little baby tubs. And
which she gets to once a year if we go to a hotel that has one.
That is basically what my life has like devolved to since we moved here. And
so I have to agree with her that the house is certainly not what
it doesn't
we would want
align
it to be.
with how we live in many ways.
And it's
the kitchen is too small. Like, there's not enough storage in the kitchen. We like to cook and we have lots of gadgets and we don't want to get rid of them because we use them. So
yeah, and so back to the cost thing, it's like we're paying a lot for the house, and then it's not as good as our house that
cost half as much.
Well, at least it used to cost half as much. We also regret selling the 2 properties that we had in Texas,
and so we're looking into like acquiring properties, but that is also something else that we're talking about. But
last big thing. So my commute on the days that I do go into work is not good.
Yeah, so 3 hours a day.
Yeah. So, and then of course, if you add to the fact that like the prep time to go to the office, and then it's like the decompression when you come back.
Yeah.
It's so, it could be easily 3.5, 4 hours of me getting ready to go to work and then coming back.
And also, that's become more evident now that Joseph's been working from home because we're all like self-isolating, quarantine, all of that. And just yesterday, we were hanging out in the living room and Joseph was saying how much he was going to miss not being able to spend this much time with Reeves because he's not commuting. So he's home all day. And it's like, even though he goes upstairs to work, instead of stopping and taking a break and chatting about unimportant things at work, he can actually stop and spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes just chatting with the family. And so we just get to see each other more and we enjoy spending time together as a family. So it just makes it more obvious how out of alignment having this lengthy commute is to the life that we want to be living.
Okay, so that's the situation. And so I guess the fun part, we can't just talk about this forever. Like I said, we haven't come to a conclusion yet. But so where we are right now is, I think that a lot of these, the bad things aren't bad enough and can be mitigated somehow without us having to actually leave.
Right. So he's saying like we could buy a different house, which is totally true. It's just this area is so stupidly expensive. And I look at other areas, and one of the things that Joseph often points out to me is to have great public schools. you are going to end up paying $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, no matter where you move in the country, which is somewhat true. We have lived in places though, like when we lived in Texas, where the houses were like between 1 and 200,000, and the schools were also very good.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to find.
It's from 1 to 1. So at least when the last time we looked, like these schools were rated 10s in great schools, and so if you look and you've got to find other 10s, I was really struggling to find a place that we want that would also, like, the city is good, like another place that we would want to live from a city perspective, having a school district that's a 10, and then finding houses around it. It's hard to find something that's substantially cheaper than where we are now.
And also has diversity. And also the big thing too that gets us is I don't want to live in an Arctic tundra, and Joseph doesn't want to live in a tropical paradise.
Gosh, that's completely fair and balanced.
It's the truth.
And that is a good point. I think that here, where we are, is probably the perfect mix between the cold that I want and the hot that Tasha wants.
That's true, but it's expensive. And that is the argument that we have been having for the past 3 years. Where are we going to move if we move from here? And so we've not been able to get too much past that.
Well, and that's true. And so it's kind of deciding also if we're going to move at all. And it's like
true.
Trying to get to the point that, yes, we're definitely moving.
I'm saying where, he's saying if, but here's the thing.
Because there are contingencies. You can't just leave.
Well, you got to plan, right? So that's why I'm like, we cannot assume we're going to stay here. Let's assume we're going to move, and let's figure out, okay, assuming we're going to move, where are we going to move to? And so then we look for areas, like where are some potential areas that we can move to? But I think too, one thing we also go back and forth with is Joseph going to quit his job?
Right. And that is something that is still up in the air. Like I said, I like my job. I could see me doing my job for many years. I like the fact that it is adding some level of stability to the household income, has good benefits. And so
that's true.
It's not something that I just need to give up or that I'm unhappy with. And so that's like why would I change that?
But the reason why is because you spend, 12 hours a week heading off to work or decompressing from work when you could get all 12 of those hours of your life back. And so that is the plus. Like, I'm all for the stability. I completely agree with that, because who buddy can business be unstable? Like, a pandemic, who would have, I don't know for sure that I would have definitely said, you know what, let me leave my super stable job and keep a fledgling business thriving through a pandemic. Luckily, I've been able to, but I could have done without that right now. So I get it.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, where do I look for my job? Am I going to leave? And then also, Alexis is still here for at least another 2 years. And don't we want to be near her? And even after my student loans are forgiven, that doesn't necessarily mean, like, the ultimate goal is that I'll work in the business as well. But the business income has to be high enough to support, not only just replace the income, but also add a buffer of instability so that as the regular business cycle goes up and down, and, maybe not something this bad happens, having a pandemic, but, recessions, booms and busts a little bit, it won't truly affect us. And so,
and for me, I'm like, we'll figure it out. Partially, obviously. There's a lot of pressure off once Alexis is done with college, because then it's like, well, our expenses drop dramatically with Alexis out of college and Reeves being school aged. And of course, there's a question of, will we get pregnant again in the next 2 years and have another child, in which case I would love even more for Joseph to be home, because then we don't have to get outside childcare. We'll just balance between the two of us. So it's a lot of questions, a lot of back and forth, no answers, but we just wanted to kind of let you in on the inside to see the back and forths that we have.
And I would say that the thing that makes, it's not an argument, it's a discussion, because we both want to end up where we're both happy. And there are clearly things that we have said, well, obviously I'm going to concede on these things. Like I have said.
We are not moving to Vermont. Like that's what,
Vermont,
like that is not, we actually, that was an argument.
Well, so when you look at it, Vermont doesn't have any major cities or airports. And so that makes any potential travel very difficult. And while I think that it would make a great place to live, it doesn't make a great place to go to or come from. It's like you could just stay there.
So we just want to encourage you to, you know, sit down with your partner, watch this video, have a laugh at our legitimate back and forths.
Yeah,
right?
So I was going to make a point. Come with facts. Okay. That was the one thing that I wanted to say. Start doing as much research as you can. If it's available, come with truths.
Oh, also come with your why too. Like, why do you want this? Why does it need to be this way? To try to help your significant other understand, why does this mean so much to you? And like Joseph, he wants to experience winter. That's one of the things. He's like, I want a true winter. So then I'm like, okay, how about, can we figure out a way where maybe we spend a week or two in a snowy area every winter so that you can get your full dose of winter? Like, can we do that? Will that suffice?
How are you going to pick a place that has an active blizzard and fly into it?
I'm not saying a blizzard. I'm saying we could go skiing.
That's winter.
Like on a nice, winter on a sunny day.
That's
I don't ski.
Neither of us have ever skied.
So a snowy cabin on a nice, like like temperate winter.
She's making up seasons.
I am. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a conversation with your significant other and really start evaluating like everything about your life. Everything about your lives can change in just a few short years. So we encourage you to have those conversations so that you're making sure that you're both working towards the life that you both want.
Best of luck, and we'll see you from our new location in Vermont later.
Bye. Bye.